and y'all carried over for a month.
Okay, all right, we'll address that in the 4 o'clock meeting, okay?
Okay?
All right, number 2, I believe that's Ms. Graham's district. We'll address that at the 4 o'clock meeting, and then we, number 3, show cause on Sherwood, same thing. And then Brookwood Apartments, that's you.
Yes, they'll come back before us, and I have a printout from Major Rucker on the calls that they've had, but just to see where they are with the updates that they presented last council meeting.
Okay. Tommy, you got here, number 5?
Yes. Number 5 was recommended by the Planning Commission unanimously for single-family residential.
Okay. Number 6?
Number 6 it was recommended by the Planning Commission, and it's to provide for an addition to the Montgomery Power Sports.
Okay. Drag strip, okay. Number 7?
7 was also recommended by the Planning Commission. It's for Husky Varner dealership, sales, parts, and service.
Okay.
It was unanimous.
All right. Madam Clerk, number 8, that's,
That's a franchise,
yeah, okay.
and that's now in your district. I think it
It's
used
now
to
in my
be.
district now?
I think it used to be in Mr. Pruitt's, but I think it's in yours now, according to the street list.
I Breckenridge don't,
On the street list, that's what it said, so
Yeah.
I can go back and double check it.
okay. This is something that, okay, we'll check it, make sure. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Number 9, food trucks, I think who brought this? We had an issue with this, didn't we?
Mr. President, I believe there was some words. Stacy can speak on this, but it's just a logical change. There could have been a mistake in the ordinance somewhere or the building codes that was very prohibitive for food trucks for not a great reason.
Okay, this clears it up.
The ordinance just basically said the food trucks could only operate using a generator, but we have set up even outside City Hall where they can plug into a utility pole. So this is just revising the ordinance to allow outside electrical sources.
Very good, okay. All right, number 10 is the CBG money. There you are.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
This information had been provided to you guys and through email in your packets. So
I've seen it.
if you'd like for me to go through each one, I can.
It's kind of standard operating procedure, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Almost identical every year.
Yes.
Same.
Just different recipients of the
Few
award.
different ones, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I was going to ask that. Was that included? I don't think that was included in the email.
You guys got a form that looks something
We
like
got an
this.
email on it.
And this
Okay.
was all, these organizations were all the organizations that applied.
Okay.
What their score was, why the reason for funding or not funding. And we do that every year so you guys can understand everyone that applies. Then the blue table, these are the ones that will be awarded.
Okay.
Yeah, we got
So,
that.
and it's
Okay.
for all 3 programs, CDBG, Home, and ESG.
Right. Okay, thank you. Number 11, this is the resurfacing on West Ferry Road, Eastern Boulevard. Provide agreement from the mayor. Okay, number 12, review of the apartments on Lower Wetumpka Road. That's you.
Yep. Hopefully he's here today,
Okay.
or a representative. They were working on some things. They did some trees cut down, but the actual rubbish from the trees are still out on the road. So hopefully he can give us some updates on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, number 13 is a liquor license. We'll have a public hearing on that. Number 14, the same way. That's in my district. That's a good one. That's okay. I believe the Bama Lane's going to be in yours, Ed.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, number 15, restaurant, that's in yours too, Ed. 15. 16 is Aldre's district. 17 is in District 3, so
I don't have any issue
you
with
okay with that?
Mhm.
Number 18, unsafe structures. We'll see if anybody signs up to talk about those at the regular meeting. And then you got 2 tear downs on number 19, and then 20 is your public nuisance. Okay? That gets us through. Anybody got any questions about what we've done so far? We've got several people who want to talk to us, and what we've done is we've moved the budget allocation groups to this work session this afternoon. So I'd like to call Donna Leslie from the Montgomery Area Mental Health Authority to talk to us. Donna, you can come here in front, like.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Those are the handouts from Don, from
Right.
Mental Health.
Yeah, you got it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having us
I
here
want to say
today.
it, push it through. We got time this afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me here today to speak with you council members. It's good to be back. And so I was asked to come speak about our budget request, so I have some updates on what we've been doing over at what was formerly Montgomery Area Mental Health Authority. So we have rebranded. We are Carastar Health. And
Is that a private company or what?
nope, we're still the same agency. We're still Montgomery Area Mental Health Authority. We're just doing business as Carastar Health. We just wanted to update. We aren't just mental health. We expanded our services, so.
Okay.
But we're still the same agency. We were not bought out.
Okay. And you kept that building that kind of made District 2 happy too?
Yes, sir. We have, we're still over at where Grill Hospital was. That's still our main location. What I wanted to update you on today was, first of all, just a progress on our crisis center, the Crisis
Right.
Diversion Center. And then just I'll update you on overall what we're doing, some of the new services we're providing, and try to answer any questions about our budget. So the first thing is we are so excited. We have made it through our first 60 days of the Crisis Center. It opened on May 16th. We are over at Carmichael. If you didn't get to make it out to see it with the opening, I would love to invite any council members to come get a tour of the facility. It is in a temporary facility on the grounds of Carmichael, but it's a beautiful facility. It's 5,000 square feet. We are almost fully staffed in that facility. Since we've opened, we have triaged, I think we just hit our 100th person. Your handouts show 87, but it's stepping up every day. And so again, just the reminder of what this facility is all about is if somebody's in crisis, if they're having a behavioral health crisis, instead of going to the emergency room or having an unnecessary arrest, they're coming to us. And
Donna, let me stop you.
yes, sir.
How do they get to you?
They are coming to us either they can just call us, they can walk in. We have an 800 number that's operated 24/7, and we have staff that operate that number, so we'll triage to kind of see what's going on. So they call ahead, they can walk in. We have law enforcement that works with us, and we do a lot of co-response with them where we go out and we'll evaluate people who are might possibly be heading for an arrest, but it's actually a mental health crisis. So we have law enforcement, we'll drop them off. That's a lot of our referrals come from them. We'll pull out of the hospitals. We haven't fully opened the door where we're taking everybody out of the emergency room because we're still limiting our opening with that, but we'll do that. We go into the ER, we evaluate, and we'll pull them out. And we do that from all 4 counties.
So you're doing more than just mental health.
Oh yeah.
I hate to
substance
stop
abuse.
you, but I think I pulled up Eastern Boulevard last Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 gentlemen there that obviously were in crisis.
Right.
Okay, either alcohol, it's something wrong with them.
Okay.
Those people would have to be picked up by the police and brought to you, or the sheriff bring them to you, or a private person bring them to you.
Those sorts of individuals, yeah.
If you got them,
Mm-hmm.
they stay with you 7 days, right, or 5 days.
What happens is we evaluate to see what they need. So they can stay, if they are needing to be stabilized, we can keep them for up to a week there. If they need longer, then we transfer them to one of our other crisis residential beds or to a hospital partner that we work with. So if somebody's out in the street and they're psychotic, we can either send a mobile crisis team out. We have a mobile crisis team that operates in the evenings, the weekends, during the day. They'll go out and they'll see the person. Or if the law enforcement or whoever's there wants to bring them in, or they're willing to come in, they can come in. They stay there for up to a week if they need it. And then if they need to transfer to one of our other beds, they can stay there. Our crisis residential facilities are for up to 6 months. But we also...
Well, these two, Chief Hall, hear me. These two guys, they were panhandling, okay? So that's a whole nother ballgame. But these guys were not really, they're sick. They're not what a lot of our panhandlers are. These two men were probably in their 60s. You couldn't tell exactly how old they were, but they need to be in an institution somewhere.
Okay.
They're in bad need of help. And I think that's when we go back to the crisis center, go back to the police department. We got to figure out how to, these people, honest to God, they were in bad shape. And they were out there panhandling when I think they'd been better off if they'd been in a crisis center somewhere and then it's somewhere that they could be taken care of.
Right.
But they may be turning this down, I don't know. But
And not every, obviously not every panhandler is mentally ill or in a crisis, but if they are, if we can get them to come in or we go out and we'll see them, that's where the mobile crisis team can go out and try to get them to come in. We can't force them into the crisis center. If they're really sick and they don't want treatment, then we'll assist with helping to get a petition where we can get them picked up. But part of what we have here and what we've been trying to share with the community is our 800 number, call us, and we can try to see what do we need to do. Do we need to send somebody out to them? Do we need to try to get them to come in? And then we'll evaluate and see what they need. And then what the nice thing is once they get there, we have all the other resources we can refer them to. So we have housing, we have 60 supportive housing beds through HUD, we have 10 transitional beds where there's no charge, where they can stay if they need to. We have supported employment, we have substance abuse treatment now. That was one piece I put in our budget request. We are certified now to do substance abuse in Montgomery for adults, adolescents, so we can refer them to that. Everybody who comes through the center, we will follow up afterwards with case managers and home teams. So it's not just, the crisis center is your entry point to, instead of having to go through that ER or go through jail, that's your entry point. But then the nice part is we can make sure they get the services they need rather than just that revolving door. Because when you're coming out of the ER, half the time you're going right back out on that street.
exactly.
So Donna, I have a question for you.
ma'am.
So, well, actually two. One is there a specific hospital that you're partnered with for the ER program?
We partner with Jackson Hospital and Baptist South. With Jackson, we're credentialed where we actually go in and we do evaluations around the clock, and we have an assessment center, an 8-bed facility on the grounds of Jackson where we can also admit people. With Baptist, we have a cooperative agreement. They have their own staff that do triages, but if we need to pull them out, we're doing that case by case, and then we meet with them weekly because we share a lot of concerns.
Okay.
So both hospitals, and then we have other Baptist up in Prattville, so we work with all the hospitals.
That's good to hear. And the second question is, I know Mr. Jim Wright brought up about the panhandlers, but my question would be, with your mobile team, are you all partnered with the Montgomery Area Coalition of Homeless?
Yes.
The
Yes, ma'am.
CUSA and Ross Peer Support for
Yes.
those that relapse?
With the Montgomery Area Coalition for the Homeless, I sit on their board, they sit on their board. We work closely with them. With Ross, we've had them actually come in and help us do some assessments. COSA, we're all partners. And this COSA is more prevention, and they do a lot of work with peers, so yeah. The homeless population is a huge piece to this. We're actually, we're working on a monthly collaborative just with the homeless shelters so we can get everybody on the same page, because the thing is, you have to look at, is this person in crisis or are they homeless? And if they're homeless and they're not in crisis, then what resources do we have we can try to offer to get them off the street? That's where the housing, the case management, we have case managers who go out onto the street and do nothing but outreach. Our past case managers do that.
That's very good to hear.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
So, and then, I don't know if you have additional questions, but basically what your packet shows is kind of who's been coming in, the numbers, the additional substance abuse services. We've really grown this past year. So this year with my budget request, I requested just a 5% increase for cost of living. I do want to just express, I cannot say it enough, how much I appreciate the city and the council members with the ARPA funds and the proposal for that. That will be a game changer. The major facility that we're renovating right now, we're still on track with that to be completed by the end of this year to open up, and it's beautiful. I really would love for you guys to come see it. We've just got to where the additions are now. The slabs are down, you've got frames up now, so the building is really coming together.
Good.
Thank you. Mr. President, I have a
Yes,
quick
sir.
question. I'm just curious, but for example, let's take the situation that Charlie described,
Right.
and let's say that some individuals went to your facility and they either didn't check out or did not want to stay. It sounds like 70 beds maybe, or 70 places, just the 60 with the HUD beds or the 10. And let's say they keep going out. Is there any communication at all from you to MPD? So that would be step one, because nobody here or anywhere wants a vicious cycle of that. But my question is more about accountability, about just behavior. And so if they go to you first, theoretically, person A, person B, and they refuse care or a bed and they get back on the streets, A, is there communication, and two, my question to MPD is what do we have on the books ordinance-wise for jaywalking and litter if it becomes a chronic thing? Like nobody, you see what I mean? Like I'm just trying to get some information because I don't know the process, if that makes any
The
sense.
most contact with MPD that we're working with is the crisis intervention team. That's our primary contact, and we work with them several times a day. They're on speed dial, we're on speed dial. So if they bring somebody into the facility, we're going to be in communication with them. Sometimes they'll come back, and sometimes we'll have to reach out and say, hey, they didn't stay, because we know they're going to see them again. Everybody who leaves, whether they follow our suggestions or not, we're going to send a case manager to what we track them. We go out, we try to find them, what's going on. Do we need to re-engage them? Do we need to get them back in? Where it gets tricky when you talk about jaywalking, littering, and you've got that issue, the homeless issue and the panhandling, we have to be careful not to make it just a mental illness problem. It's a part of it. You do have a lot of those folks who are mentally ill, but a lot of those folks aren't. And so our job is to try to see, okay,
Exactly.
which is which.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we're here, I'm just trying to ask to get more information, how we can better that process. Because the only way that I feel like that can be achieved is through communication, organization, but also building systems around it so that everybody in the whole city can feel like it's getting a little bit better instead of a lot worse, because it's exponentially gotten worse.
Right.
And some of us feel the same way, some of us don't, and that's okay. But we just got to figure some stuff out.
Right. And I think some of it too is outreach. So if there's a question, you see somebody who is panhandling or jaywalking, and let us send our caseworker out to see the person and see, okay, is this somebody who's just got a racket going, or are they mentally ill and they need services? And the one thing about mental illness that can be tough is I can provide you all the services in the world, but I can't make you take advantage of them. And that's where you do see some folks that's what they're used to. And so that's, I think, the city's challenge is, okay, I can offer you this lovely apartment, I can offer you a case manager, I can give you all these medications, but if you want to be out in the street doing that, so the question is, why do you want that? What else can we offer? So whatever we can do to partner beyond what we're doing, I'm all for it.
Well, so right now, we're going to continue with the closeness you have with the crisis intervention and trying to deal with that part of it, not as a criminal aspect, but as what can we do to reach out to and provide assistance to, and we're going to continue down that path, and we want to continue down. Now, as far as littering and stuff, we actually have to see something like that, and that's something we're going to have to remain consistent. If we see this person write that ticket, we have to write that to everybody. So that's something we have to be consistent on. We can't target a person just because they're on that corner. It's something we have to be consistent on. That is an offense that is a violation, which means it's a ticket. It's not a jailable offense, so we have to write a citation for that. But we just got to be consistent. But I think the biggest thing is the continued communication between her group and the police department, which they have every day, multiple times every day. And it's not just during business hours. I know they're getting us well into the night, because I get the paperwork on that. And so I know this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, this communication.
It's been a fantastic partnership, though. I mean, I think other cities should model what we're doing, really.
Okay.
It's been kind of neat.
Well, thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Richard Jackson, Boys Club, yeah, Mr. Jackson.
Hey, good afternoon. How everybody's doing?
Hello there.
How you doing,
Good,
Mr.
good,
Jackson?
good. Good good to see everybody. All right, just came to, first of all, tell you thank you for all the allocations you've given us in the past. And again, our request is to continue to fund the Boys and Girls Club. And if you don't know, we have 3 units. I think a lot of people don't know we have the Mount Meigs units now. We have 150 students out there, and we provide services just like a Boys and Girls Club. And we just actually had a graduation about 4 weeks ago, or in June. We have about 1,200 kids. Kids still pay $5 a year. We actually, Boys and Girls Club of the River Region of Montgomery is kind of the pinnacle for Boys and Girls Club America because we only charge the $5 a year. Other clubs are going to more money than that, but our board has continued to raise money. The city has been so supportive. The county, just a lot of foundations in Montgomery. So again, we have 1,200 kids. We're open. This summer was very special. We had a grant, was able to open from 7:30 to 6. A lot of hard work from Tabari. He's our unit director. I'm letting him explain what's been going on. So again, we just, whatever you can do to help us is very advantageous to us. The 2 biggest things that's going to be happening in the coming future is that we definitely want a transportation program. I don't know how the city can help us talk to the school system to get more kids at our clubs. Like I said, we charge $5 a year, but really that's for them to get their club so they can have a sense of belonging. The next thing we're gonna have, Tabari is gonna have a mountain bike track in the back of the West End Boys and Girls Club. We went up to Dalton, Georgia, just this past week. They gave us a grant to get the track, but it's gonna cost more than that. So we need that field, the back of West End, kind of clear it out for us, at least help. But again, we're just trying to provide service for our Boys and Girls Club, for our kids that need us the most. I'm gonna let Tabari, if y'all have any questions for me and Tabari.
How's that building next door to Chisholm?
Oh, we're still working on it. Marche,
Okay.
Councilman Johnson, we're really working on to get that done, so I really appreciate that. Tabari, anything you want to ask Tabari?
Anybody got any questions? I think we all.
No big questions. I just want to state that Rick and Tavar, that as a council, we've been talking, and I know Leadership Montgomery is working on a huge project for you guys, and they presented us a budget. And we've been talking about with the ARPA, how we can help with the Boys and Girls Club, because it is a key part of some of our underprivileged neighborhoods. So that has been a big conversation, and I'm pretty sure that we agreed to do that, correct?
I think so.
I
think it's a big deal. I mean,
Yeah.
Boys and Girls Club, I mean, that's a big deal for Montgomery, and,
Yeah.
and it does a great job. My main concern is the one at off of Bell Street, the
West End.
West End. The West End. I mean, the neighborhood has just shrunk. Aren't you having to bus most of the kids in over there?
Yeah, that's one of the things that Rick talked about. We do pick up about 85% of the kids that we serve during the school year from T.S. Morris, and it's just a constant, we're going to put 10 kids on the van at one time. So, we're running 6 or 7 routes to the school back and forth. So
What would be another location if you wanted to move? Let's dream a little bit. If you wanted to move West End to somewhere else, where would you move it to, Rick? Where would y'all move West End?
It's a couple areas. I don't know about Tabari. We got Regency Park. There's a lot of kids out there, but then we can't. Kids from West End, we don't want to not.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
field service them.
Then the area that we used to be in is over there by Davis Elementary.
Yeah, Ridgecrest.
Ridgecrest, that's great. That's an area, a lot of kids over there. So those 2 areas are mine. And I think an area over, I was just driving one day. I said, man, there's a lot of kids over there with the Fox Partners over there in Gaslight.
Oh, Gaslight Curve.
Glenn's doing something over there now.
Now, you could go in partnership. Glenn, aren't you already building out a community center?
We are. We're going 5,000 foot.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of kids and a lot of, what Boys and Girls Club does, as you probably do know, that's what we do. We program from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, or 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. In the summer, we're pretty much open all day, and minimal fees, and we have professional staff that just go in there and it's like home away from home. And you become bond, Denzel Washington, Shaquille O'Neal, Jennifer Lopez, all these people has been, now we got, you know, of course, we got Cam Taylor Britt. Just got drafted for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's part of Boys and Girls Club team.
Could we help you with grants? I mean, grant writing or whatever?
I mean, yeah, we always need help with grants, but you know, or to point us to better other grants. Maybe that's you know, Luell does a great job of pointing us to grants, other grants, to get us that way.
Okay. Because you got the big athletes and big movie stars that got, I'm sure they got money they want to put somewhere, you know.
Yeah, but it's a national, you know, that's
Right.
that you get. But what you can help us with is, you know, sometimes they, you know, special events like Steak and Burger. That's when you bring a Denzel Washington down. It'll be a combination with all the city. Say, hey, we're going to have Denzel Washington. I'm just using him for example. Denzel come and do a steak and burger. Y'all eat burgers and steak so we can support, you know, the kids in need of Kids and Boys and Girls Club. So doing different things like that. Again, remember, transportation, if we can't do that at all, just trying to get the kids to the club.
So your ask, Mr. Jackson, was you need help getting a bus?
Yes. Well, yes.
Multiple buses.
Multiple buses.
Okay.
And again, another way is to partner with the school if we don't want to.
Yeah, and we do that. We partner with the school to get buses for our park and recreation that we use during the summer to transport kids. So when we're doing that through our park and recreation, we can look at trying to help you guys get a couple
we
buses.
just want to get them there. If we can get them there, ain't going nowhere.
There you go.
That's right.
Good deal. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Ben Jones with the Community Action Agency.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Jones.
Great. I have some handouts for you all. So Mr. Tab is going to give those to you. Montgomery Community Action, as you all know, have been in this community for about 57 years. And so it is no stranger to most of you. We serve the community through our Head Start program and through community services, which includes CSBG funding to assist with rent. And we have LIHEAT that assists with energy, and that would be light and utilities bills. And we have LIWAP now, most recently, to assist with water bills. So we are a staple of the community for the last 57 years. We appreciate the support from the city over the years and continue to be a part of your budget, and we hope to be a part of your budget going forward with an increase of about 10% or more, like everybody, right?
Everybody. Yeah, Betty had that 10% up every day. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
We're adding that 10% just keeps coming, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We got you.
I'm sure. We serve 1,299 children and families for our Head Start and Early Head Start program. Our family engagement manager, Ms. Nettles, is with me today, and our support services manager, Mr. McQuail Tapp, are with me today. But we serve the community, our clients, and for the poverty levels that are applying for assistance with LIHEAT or CSBG funding. We serve, and I put some flyers in the back there, some pictures in the back, the last 4 pages of that handout. On July 16, because we operate by appointments, and so people have to call the appointment line to make appointments. But on July 16th, those last 3 pages show some pictures where we open up on a Saturday, that Saturday morning, and we didn't take appointments. We just said we put out some flyers, say, come on out. If you come, we'll serve you. And if you note that we're on Adams Avenue, that goes from our building at 1066 on Adams Avenue down past the Regents Bank. That line, if you see that line of people lined up for assistance. We assisted about, I guess, over 1,000 people that day. Wow. We assisted about 600, and we gave another 600 or so appointments for later because we didn't have enough people to do that in one day, which suggests then that there is a need in the community for our services, a greater need than we're able to assist. All of our funding is earmarked that we receive in grants. Our funding for Head Start is earmarked for Head Start. Our funding for CSBG that we get through ADECA is earmarked for, specifically for the items for rent, and then qualifications. People have to meet the qualifications for those funds, as well as LIHEAP and LIWAP, which is the water program now. So all of our funds are earmarked. So if we have someone who is outside of the poverty guidelines, but yet still needs assistance, the only way we can assist them is with non-federal dollars. So we do appreciate the funding that we get, because there are people who are not within the poverty guidelines who still needs help with situations. And so the federal dollars will not allow us to assist anyone with mortgage, but we can assist with rent. So sometimes we have to use other funding. We do get some funding from Alabama Business Charitable Trust, through Alabama Power, and we can use those funds for mortgages and some of the other funds that we get in grants or grants from banks or things of that nature, as long as they're non-federals. So we're just here to say thank you and to ask that if we could certainly remain in your budget, but if there's room for improvement, we can certainly use it, because we have a tremendous number of people who call on us every day, and we assist them.
Well, thank you for what you do. Anybody got any questions? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Timothy Hatch with the, you got two of them, primary care and health department.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for your time today. My name is Tim Hatch. I am the District Administrator for the East Central District of the Alabama Department of Public Health. And the East Central District is the 11 counties that surround Montgomery. But we're here today to talk about the Montgomery County Health Department that services the citizens here in the city of Montgomery, as well as Pike Road. We currently have an operating budget of about $3.8 million, and our allocations from both the city and the county are just under $500,000 for that, and that's excluding our personnel costs. Over the last year, I've come into this role. Mr. Richard Burleson has taken retirement, and so I've been in this role for about 7 months, but I've been with the department for 27 years, so health administration is something that I've been doing for a long time, and I've battled through COVID-19 and wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an update. Your county health department here in Montgomery has issued over 10,000 individuals their COVID vaccine, so we're very proud of that. We're continuing to do that both with initial doses as well as the booster doses that are coming out. And of course, right now we're about a week away from school, so we're doing a lot of childhood immunizations as well. And so moving forward, we're looking at flu season and even more COVID vaccines as the guidance from CDC comes out. One of the newest things that we're dealing with is monkeypox. Right now in the state of Alabama, we've got 16. Here in Montgomery, we've got 6. So we're working on dealing with those individuals to get the treatment they need and identify those who may benefit from the vaccine. The vaccine is here in the state. Matter of fact, it's being stored here in Montgomery for statewide distribution. We're working with the Montgomery Advocacy and Outreach to have them help us to identify individuals that may benefit from this. Through COVID-19, we have done a lot of upgrades and infrastructure increase, both with facilities as well as personnel. We are leveraging some federal funds to improve the conditions over at the Montgomery County Health Department, both aesthetically and functionally. We have a 30-year-old roof that we're going to be replacing pretty soon, so thankfully we're allowed to use federal dollars for that. A lot of the money that we've gotten federally is earmarked for COVID or what they're talking of emerging diseases or the next pandemic. So sadly, some of the other programs that we offer are having to be self-sustained, and through the kind contributions that we get from the city of Montgomery does help with that. We currently have about 77 full-time staff members that show up every day, 8 to 5, some of us later, at the Montgomery County Health Department to provide these services. Everything from our nutrition program, which provides women, infants, and children some benefits that they need to help start out these lives with proper nutrition. We're still doing virtual, so we haven't gone back to in-person WIC services yet, but we're hoping maybe in October that we will go back to doing that. But we still continue to do family planning day in and day out. We offer the ability for people to get birth and death certificates, marriage certificates and the like. We're continuing to do all sorts of immunizations. Our environmental health folks are doing restaurant inspections, lodging, dog bites, and so forth. Sadly, our STD and TB numbers are up, but we're on top of that, and we're investigating and trying to do countermeasures to control that here in our city and county. One of the other things I'd like to point out is that we do have 30 new team members of that 77 that I'm talking about, located here in the city of Montgomery, which is known as our East Central District Response Team. So we have individuals from our infection prevention and control, as well as infectious disease and outbreaks, and our emergency preparedness and response team that are housed here in Montgomery. So if there is a disaster statewide or specifically here in the east central part of Alabama, we have 30-member team that are highly trained to respond to that, whether it's a flood, tornado, hurricane, another disease outbreak, and that type of thing. So we're very glad to have them here in our city. Also in our facility, we house the Wellness Coalition, the Medicaid County and District Office, as well as our county school nurses are based here at the County Health Department. And then you mentioned our other tenant, HSI, Health Services, Inc. We have them there on our ground floor. We're very glad to have a strong partnership with this federally qualified health center. We're asking for funding for them as well. If you come over to our parking lot any day, you'll be hard-pressed to find a space, so we're glad to be there, glad that business is picking back up. And as the previous gentleman said, thank you for your previous support, and we appreciate your continued support.
Any questions?
I do. I have one question. Thank you for everything that you all are doing for the city of Montgomery and the county. Are you all receiving funding as well from the county? And is there a split with that funding?
Yes, so our county funding annually is about $388,000. We also have use of their facility, but the department is responsible for all upkeep and improvements and day-to-day operations, power, water, that type of thing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Charlie, I have one question.
Yeah.
What's the funding from Pike Road, just out of curiosity?
I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll get that to you, though. We just got the allocation in the other day, but I don't remember exactly. I don't want to tell you a story, but I will get that to you tomorrow.
I'd be curious.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Sharice Stokes. We got you in.
Hey, Ms. Stokes.
Hello. So here to talk about Montgomery Tech Lab. So we are just entering our second cohort of companies. Applications were due on yesterday. Our last cohort, we had 9 companies come through that. Tech Accelerator, of those companies, all of them were external to Montgomery, external to Alabama. As a result of that, 4 companies are now doing business in Montgomery, in the state of Alabama. Half of those companies have raised almost $3 million in their fundraising efforts to continue those companies. And half of those companies were minority-owned businesses. A few of them were veteran-owned businesses, and 2 of them were actually woman-owned businesses. So as we did digital services in the first cohort. The next cohort will be focused on quality of life, quality of place. And so right now, based on the applications that we have, we'll be selecting them next week, and they will kick off in Montgomery the week of the Air Force IT Conference and HBCU Classic Weekend. So right now, we only have about 3 companies that are Montgomery-based, but we have companies coming from Greenville, South Carolina, from Columbus, Georgia, and even Colorado Springs. But they're doing everything from healthcare to education to fintech, as well as cybersecurity. So the funding that you all have provided helps us to give startup entrepreneurs not only an opportunity to grow their business, but also an opportunity to bring technical expertise into Montgomery. Any questions?
Everybody okay?
Thank you for what you do, sir.
Well, all we need to do is, I got her yesterday about her enthusiasm. She's not very enthusiastic to tell, you know. But I want her to go to Gutter and do some enthusiasm work out there because they haven't been able to hire enough people. And very, very big concern in the IT business that Gutter gets everything they need because what you're doing feeds them. So that's great. Thank you. 200 employees. You said, didn't you have 200 employees involved in the...
In the best spin effort, yes, sir.
Yeah, so this thing is growing, and it's really, really something big, and I appreciate what you do, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Magoo.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
First, I just wanted to thank you all for the busking ordinance. I have my permit here, and our organization, we've been getting people signed up for it. We signed up, I think, 18 people so far since it's been approved. But what I'm here to talk about today is wanting to expand the downtown entertainment district to include the Hilltop, 5 Points area. It's very much a part of downtown, and it's an area that's definitely growing. And we feel that this would be a good way to help further connect it to kind of this more central part of downtown, your Court Square, Commerce Street, all that. I've gotten, the Cottage Hill Neighborhood Association has voted in favor of this proposal, and most of the businesses I've had contact with there, Hilltop Public House, Seville, Goat House, the Sanctuary, they're all in favor of this as well.
Yeah, thank you. We already have started working towards this. Stacy, if you could give a brief update on how far we are with the entertainment district.
I thought our last communication, you were going to get me the names of the businesses.
The heads.
Because the concern would be whether to create a fourth district. Right. And if we create a fourth district, do we have to restructure the downtown district to exclude the businesses that might be up in Cottage Hill, and then restructure, or do we have the expansive ability to make those inclusive of the downtown district because of the size restrictions?
Right.
So if you can get me the names, then I can look at the ones that are encompassed in the downtown district and see what we can do to facilitate that.
Okay, so the names that she's mentioning, so with the expansion, or we have to have 6 businesses that are in that area that have alcohol licenses and business licenses and are actively operating. So, and it has to be a business that's running. So one of the businesses was Goat House. That's not necessarily at Hilltop, but it's close by, and Bibb Street. So I need to get her those names of a few more to ensure that possibly my thoughts were to separate it and create a fourth one. But we'll dive into that some more and look at
depending on how you did it, if it's a 6 liquor licenses, we'd have to restructure. There's not that many, but there are 6 businesses in that area at least
that have agreed to it, right, Bob? Yeah, I agree, because we've been in communication. We want to do what the best is long term, but whatever the path of least resistance, if that is what is best for long term, let's do that too. Is what we're trying to say, Stacy. We're just trying to all get it accomplished, because there's a lot of development happening in Cottage Hill. I got a call today. There might be a big event coming in October that could really need it and thrive off of it. So whatever we need to do, and Eddie, in your new role, maybe that could be something that you help us with, to coordinate with Stacy to really get the ball moving, because I think it's a no-brainer for me, but we just got to put the right pieces together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the biggest argument I've heard in favor of this is, we have an entertainment district. If you're going from Saza to the Alley Bar, it does you no good. Alley Bar is not going to let you take that drink from Saza inside, so you've carried a drink, 50 feet to then throw it away. What an entertainment district does is it gets those people walking. They can go from Bibb Street, Common Bond, go up to the Hilltop, go from the Hilltop, maybe they go down to Court Square. That's what entertainment districts are really designed for, not for, hey, I'm going to carry a drink next door. It's, hey, there's something cool going on up on the Hilltop. Let's go up there and take our business up there.
My only concern, I'm like Clay, I'm on board, is people come off the interstate down that way and they're speeding through there. So if I'm going from Common Bond over to Hilltop and I've had 2 drinks, they're speeding coming down through. The road's curvy. That's not walker friendly down there. That's my only concern.
Yeah, and if that becomes a insurmountable hurdle, you can. We've mapped it out 3 different ways that you can do it, and so you can just go up Montgomery Street from Court Square.
Yeah, and we'll designate a route. Last one we did with Chris and Wesley, we actually designated a walking route that was safe. So we'll do the same thing. Yeah.
Bob, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm fine. Cool. Thank you,
All
Bob.
right, Mr. Grimes, you wanted to talk about townhomes?
Chris, can you come up just a second? Mine's about, and I didn't realize the problem we're having with townhouses. We're putting in townhouses, and the owners don't realize that they own the alley in the back.
Right.
They think the city does, and as they deteriorate, and I was talking to Chris, and I didn't realize the problem with this, and we need to do something, either put a moratorium or figure it out, condo them, or build that alley to a certain standard that's better than what it's being built now. Because as they get older, Chris, you talk, because you guys know this, I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the conversation was about when townhomes age, they have a common slab, they have a common roof, they have basically common walls in between, but they're individually owned. So if we're going to have action against an individual owner, which is who, and I'll defer to Kippy about all this. He and I had a conversation regarding this as well, so he's kind of the expert on it. But I'll tell you what
I
little
didn't see Kippy back there.
Yeah. So when it comes to having action against that homeowner, you really can't do it. Let's just say they let it get to a state where maybe it needs to be demolished. Well, you can't demolish one townhome. You've got to demolish them all or do something. As it goes, they can drill holes and start accessing other people's property through there. I mean, it can become a real issue. And as you talked about, kind of my main issue today is that'll generally be a private alleyway, and they'll want sanitation service behind the house, because if you're in the middle townhome, you'd have to bring it all the way around and out to the street to have it serviced, or have us come back there, and then once the thing deteriorates over 30 or 40 years with no maintenance going on, nobody maintaining their own driveway, then all of a sudden it's the city's fault that we provided a service to you. And I get a call from all my good friends over in District 8, Glenn. Yes. And so we get kind of that scenario going. So from our standpoint, they're just not a good situation, specifically because of the individual ownership of from the back driveway to the front yard and the structure itself. So that's our problem with it. We'd like to see, like you say, it be common ownership, that it be some kind of condominium, some kind of one owner of a group of homes like that are attached. So I would say, and we're working on this, I've mentioned this to you, we're working on redoing kind of our planning and subdivision and those regs. So until we get that laid out, it's likely that they will be disallowed anyway. We would ask that there would be a moratorium until that comes into place, so that there isn't kind of a rush to get them in before they're disallowed. And so that's the
Okay.
conversation. Does that answer what?
No. No, Chris, I appreciate it, because we need to look forward. We don't need to build something right now that's going to be a problem 10 years from now.
And if you want to ask
Kippy
about some of the issues they have too.
Well, yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Well, Chris and I did speak about this today, and actually I watched an hour-long planning commission meeting where there were some issues with townhomes being designed in a PUD right off the Atlanta highway. After extensive debate, if you will, I think the planning commission decided to deny that request along a density perspective. While that's not in my shop, so to speak, I can say this: my shop does have literally two divisions. One is the building code, which allows townhomes, and unless we do something there, from the building code perspective, there are no issues. But from the property maintenance side, which has affected us all at this point, those are very difficult, as Chris said, to deal with once a property deteriorates into a certain level. I mean, you can't go to the middle of a townhome and take that one out. That's problematic, right, because it's connected all together. So I would say this: if something temporary is going to be done, that's satisfactory for the now, but future planning, it has to take place at the planning, city planning level, zoning perspective. That's where you nip it in the bud, versus waiting until it gets to the point that it's constructed and then becomes a problem.
Right, right. Councilman Grimes, and Mr. President, that's an issue that I mentioned with the North Pass townhomes. It was the same issue. We can't demolish them because someone lives right in the center of them. So this is an ongoing issue in the city. So I'm with you, Ed, on doing something short term. Now, I know that Robert Smith and they have, the Planning Commission is working on updating those policies, and I know I mentioned it during my session with them, and hopefully everyone else does too if they haven't already, about doing something with townhomes. And
if I may, I would say this: if something's going to be done along the lines that the thinking is at this point, I would encourage that planning side to accelerate some, so that we don't have to make individual decisions about these sorts of things unless you do a moratorium, but at the same time, you've got planning that's taking place now that could, in fact, impact what we're trying to do here.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
with that being said, what Mr. Tate and Ed is talking about, on item number 10 on the CDBG fund, we're approving the 724,000 for some townhomes, 55-unit townhomes to be built in this CDBG. So we might need to look at that.
That's my point.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's my point, exactly.
CC, we need the experts like Kippy and to lead us through this, and Robert to lead us through this thing.
But my point, if we're talking about a moratorium, we need to figure out through Desmond's department what we're going to do about this 724,000 that we're going to approve on this CBG.
those are affordable
Townhomes, 55 units. So if this is going to be an issue in Montgomery years.
So maybe if we doing like 3 to 4, I know that was a conversation piece.
Right. Go ahead, Greg.
CC, on the CDBG townhomes, those will be owned by one entity.
Okay.
They're for rental.
Okay.
So they will be owned by one entity, even though there are individual units within it. So it's more of a condominium type situation, but it is a townhome, I get design or whatever, but it'll be owned by one entity.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to say that these are the kind of complications that we'll need to avoid if we push the planning aspect forward, get the zoning in line with the planning, then it'll eliminate these kinds of complications. But I would ask that you probably accelerate that, because by the time it comes to my office, the design, all that work has been done, and it's the tail end, and I'm suggesting that maybe we take care of it on the front end.
Amen.
Sounds like a winner. Thanks.
Thanks, Kippy.
All right, thank you, Kippy. Good idea, and y'all push that. That's a good idea to push it. Eddie, one thing I just want to make sure we remind everybody of, that this $4 million we got from the federal government to do blighted property, we need to make sure we continue to push that issue, because it's been around a long time, and we've now got funds to do that. So please help the mayor push that through, okay?
Absolutely. And speaking of, I know that we were talking about the land bank and what that would look like for the future of Montgomery. That is an intricate piece of blighted properties and ensuring that we have a structure already set on how we're going to do this. So it's important that we push that through sooner than later, because we don't want this to be something we're talking about 5 years from now and we own all these properties and there's no controlling entity over it. And thank you, Stacy, for assisting. And I'd like to see that push forward. I know the council is in agreement with that.
State House on that right now?
Yeah, SB 382 has, and it's coming back to the floor when they go back to session, but it's already approved for municipalities to create such.
Okay.
So we
I
just
thought
need
you've
to-
got.
Yeah, Stacy's working on the policy.
Okay, good deal. All right. Okay.
And Mr. Jim, right
Yes,
before
ma'am.
we go out of work session, I know we're out of 4 o'clock, but we need to talk about the attorney for the city council.
Okay.
That need to be a discussion we have in this format.
Okay.
I did some research on it and looked into it. We can do the contract, but we need to get someone who can handle municipal law and not just one aspect on what we need, because there are so many other things we need an attorney to assist us with. So if that's the route we want to go as a council, that's fine. We just need to put an RSP out, a RFP, so that we can, get an attorney based off that who would be willing to do that.
After my research, let me just say this about that. My research with Stacy and whatever, any attorney we get has got to use city departments to accumulate information. And Stacy's department would have that, know up front how to do that. If we get an attorney, they've got to go through finding all that before they're able to do it. So in my opinion, that's a real roadblock for us to have our own attorney that would be efficient. I prefer that the city attorney's office have an attorney assigned to us to use for us when we need him or need her. And that's my opinion on that, because I think the reality of what they have to do, they've got to go through a lot of different departments a lot of time to figure out to answer our question. So that's my point.
Well, I appreciate that because all of us, I'm quite sure, got an opinion about the matter, and I appreciate that. But Ms. Stacy, are you going to be able to? Because up to this point, I've been in office since 2018. There has not been an attorney that could just readily be available for the council when we need it. There's always a line, and we got to find our place in the line. Are you able to? Your office? Are you able to get staff that can be? Staff that can be pretty much available when the council need them?
Well, I think it depends on what your definition of available is. I've always tried to get you a turnaround of within a week. I mean, I would think anything any attorney would have to do, our office would have to do, which was vet your request to look at ordinances to see if there's anything already in place that addresses the issues you want to address, to obviously see if there are any state laws that prohibit doing whatever you would like to pursue, to see if it's constitutional. That's going to take some time. I did tell Councilman Jenwright, I'm not comfortable assigning just one attorney to the council. I don't think it's fair to our attorneys. I think they all deserve exposure to the council, how to develop ordinances, how to work with the council members. And they're also all assigned cases and other projects, so it wouldn't be fair to do that to one attorney. But as far as I know, we've been in what my mind is timely in responding to any requests from the council. And to the extent that we're not, I would certainly welcome any feedback on that.
Well, I know you and I don't know, for some reason, I'm the only one talking about this, but it seemed like so many others had so much to say about it at one point. But I know there was a time when I had to email you, and I emailed Ms. Jamala and even the mayor about projects that I needed some assistance on, and it was taking a long time for me to hear back. Literally, it took me and Mr. East 3 months before he could say nay or yay on whether or not he could even consider to help me prepare an ordinance. And that's a long amount of time. To me, that's a lot of time. Now, and I heard Jim Wright said that they have to come through, and if we hired an attorney, they will have to come through the city staff, but I don't think an attorney will have to come through the city staff in order to research whether or not there's an ordinance on the book. They can go research that. They don't have to come ask y'all that. They can go and spend time researching it. If we needed somebody to look and see if there's state codes or state laws out there, they could do that. They don't have to come and ask y'all to do that for them. That's something an attorney could do on their own. Am I mistaken about that, or is that something they have to get permission from the city attorney to do?
I'm not sure what your question is, but...
Well, my point, let me just say my point this. To get the data that they need to make a decision, they'll need to consult people within the city.
We're not asking them to make decisions.
Well, it all depends on the question that you ask. And if you ask a straight question, one answer, then you go straight to the legal department and you can get that answer. I mean, it's a complicated question. It's what the question would be, but reality of it, if it's a complicated issue, it's going to have to get more than one department involved to find out what's really going on.
We put $100,000 away for just this to get an attorney or
we
some
didn't have a plan.
Okay,
Well, we did have a plan. We planned to contract an attorney. All 9 of us agreed we needed an attorney. So we did have a plan, and it's 4 o'clock, we need to start the meeting, but we did have a plan.
Okay. Well,
have we decided we don't want an attorney to do a contract attorney?
I still want one.
I don't.
I have 2 ordinances
I don't.
I need help with.
Okay.
Ideally, what we wanted to do, and this was the conversation piece, is hire an attorney on contract for any instance that we had. We wanted a particular attorney, but we never followed through with it. And it's always been my stance that the council doesn't only need an attorney, but we need a staff that's directly working with us. We are the only Big 5 city that does not have that. And it intervenes with how we do business in the city. So I've always been a proponent of doing something for the council, not just an attorney, but someone, because Ms. Brenda has other things that she has to do, her and her staff. I bring on interns to assist with what I'm doing. And that's the only way District 3 is being able to do everything that we've been able to do, because of interns, me paying money out. But it should be in the council's budget for us to have a clerk that works side by side with Ms. Brenda, that probably reports to Ms. Brenda, but works directly for the council. So that way we don't have to go every single time through someone that's working at the pleasure of the mayor. They need to work to the pleasure of the council for what we need to get done for each district. It's 9 districts, and I have 2 interns in 1 district. So that's always been my thing. We are very dated with how we operate as a council.
Well, we're trying to get out of here early this afternoon. I know this is a long conversation. We need to have it. I agree with that. I would say that we'll use next work session on the 16th to talk about it some more and go from there, okay? We'll get a budget on the 16th from there, I believe, and then we'll be in budget, looking at budget the rest of the year, so the rest of the month. So let's go forward to that. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back into the regular meeting, okay?